Hello, welcome back to another Azure Centric Podcast. My name is Marcos Nogueira, and with me I have Andrew Lowes on our Azure Weekly Update show. So it feels like a short week, but it isn't because we did record this. The other one we recorded this late, and now we're recording this sooner. So
It's true.
for us feels like a short week because this means that the week is ending and we back with our schedule, which is good. We don't have the massive updates that we have last week, I have to say. So good news for you. Uh,
That one did go a little
that
longer
yes,
than what we intended, but that's
although
okay.
although I received a very nice email, I will not say what is the name of the person, as you can imagine, right? But I received a very nice email that they felt the passion of the Microsoft 365 cloud PC.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful. That's
and
really good. Yeah, we were very
and
excited
they
about that
and the
release.
guy just have the guy or the girl, right? The person just
The
have
anonymous
anonymous
person who we
person
absolutely love. Yeah.
ooh, that I already most yeah he said that he felt the passion, he liked the way that we put it because that information it's not available, although we went to see he went to see the video of, in this case, of Satya, and he discovered that the presentation of Windows Cloud PC was in Canada, in Nunavut.
Hmm.
And I
Oh,
say,
they did it on site with none of it.
no, on the video that was on Inspire, when they were, in this case, announcing the product, right? Satya
Hmm.
come with, usually they come with a customer, right? With a customer that they did that. And what it is he was the customer of the government, I think, of Nunavut.
Yes.
Um, Not the government. Yes, the territory government of Nunavut. Or was the city? I don't remember. No, I think it was the government,
I think it was the whole
the whole
territory, like
territory. So,
their IT. Yeah.
and it's first, it's awesome to see Canada worldwide, right? And the other thing is, it's really awesome to see that um, we never think about those regions, right? Or those territories, and the challenge that they have. And it reminds me a little bit when I had to see it again after that email, I have to confess. And it reminds me the projects that I've been always involved, especially with those regions that they are not as granted as, for example, the North America. And I'm, in this case, I'm saying explicitly, in, for example, in Africa. I did a lot of projects in Africa, and we are granted for all of these, like with electricity or stabilization of electricity, right? And everyone have a lot of stories to talk about those. But I was on a migration, for example, on Exchange, to do that before, not before the cloud, but they were using the cloud as well, and they had satellite internet that is a fortune. Okay, if I
Mm.
think that I'm paying too much for my Telus fiber, that one was even slower and was like an insanely amount of price. But they had fiber through Nigeria at that time, and it was like insane, like a fiber to to them, in this case in the middle of Africa, through Nigeria. But the curious part on that story is I was in the middle of exchange migration, right? To just distribute all of the DAGs and all of that, to make it a little bit more interesting for them, as they travel a lot from Canada to to Africa, in this case. And in the middle of the project, my site went down, and I say, "What's happened?" So I contact them, say, "Can you double check what's happened?" Yes, we don't have anything here. The router is all the lights and all of that, and troubleshooting. So after a few hours of troubleshooting, we discovered that was a snowstorm, not a snowstorm, a sandstorm, because a snowstorm in Africa, it's almost impossible, right?
I was going to ask, but I thought, okay, whatever. What
But
do I know?
a sandstorm, and they have these repetitors in the middle of the desert, right? Because of the fiber, to just get the fiber. So all of those repetitors was based on solar energy, right? And because of the sandstorm, they were covered. So they have to send someone, not by car, okay, not by jeep or anything, but by camel, to follow the cable, right? And to clean, in this case, the to clean the solar panels, so the batteries can recharge, and they can do it, all of that. So again,
that sounds like an episode of Dirty Jobs.
Oh my God, it was amazing. So we had to stop for 2 or 3 weeks the project until they finish with the camel.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you're talking about hundreds of miles of fiber optic cable. So I'm thinking, by camel, I mean, let's be honest, even by Jeep, you're talking about a week.
Yeah.
So
imagine
wow.
our meetings or setup meetings. So are we betting where the camel is?
I was about to ask, like, how did they check in? Is there like a safety procedure for this, or so? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so just when you think your job is difficult, yes, throw a monkey wrench. No, throw a camel wrench.
Exactly. So just to give an idea, and that's I have to thank you, but that's the party of good. But what I want to say is thank you for you that you are new at the channel. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. In this case, if you are one of our customers that is happy with the product, and you didn't ask for money back, don't forget to continuing that smashing the like button and giving comments, sending emails, spread some love. Tell us if you don't feel comfortable of leaving a comment. Send us an email. Send us a tweet, whatever it is that you are available.
Direct message on Twitter, a DM. Yes,
absolutely. But the thing is, don't stop to let us know what you think about the show. We are here for you, and that's the part that I want to thank, in this case, you and your listeners, to everyone. And thank you, Andrew, because without you as well, this will be very monotonous, me only talking.
Well, yeah, I feel exactly the same way, actually, now that you mention it. But I'd really just be sitting here talking to myself, I guess.
Exactly. But this week on Azure has been quite a good week, I have to say, especially after a big event like the Microsoft
Inspire. Yes.
Yeah, that is the Microsoft event for partners, right? A lot of good things coming from that event. And usually after a big event like that, usually Microsoft have 3 big events. One is the Inspire for partners, as I mentioned. The other one is the Ignite for more infrastructure technical people, or in this case, IT guys, IT professionals. Although they have some content with developers, and the big build one that is more focused on development and all of that. So those are the big 3 conference that Microsoft hosts, and usually, from our experience, is a slow week after that, and this one wasn't, I have to say.
No, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
I remember after all of the Ignite Online sessions, I think everybody just took a week off. There was only like a handful of updates after the Ignite one this past spring.
Yeah.
And this was the opposite of that. Everybody, I think, stayed working very, very hard. And there was some really good ones, right? Like we talked about this a little bit because we do choose the articles that we're going to kind of chat about.
Yes.
Although very quickly we do. So it's in this case we had some networking.
Yes. We have some. So the theme about this, we can say that is about networking and monitoring, if we may call. Although we have a very cool updates. What about if we roll and we start our show?
Well, if I may be so bold,
okay,
make it so.
So welcome back, and let's start with the first update. So the first update is shared disks on Azure Disk Storage are now generally available on all premium SSD and standard SSD sizes, which is a marvelous way to start the show this week. Okay.
It is. It's really good update, right?
It is a good update because we didn't have this possible. Okay. We only have in a few the part of shared disks, and shared disks, in my opinion, are really important. Okay. And the reason that are really important is, first of all, is the way that you can build a cluster on Azure. Okay. I have to say that because it's the best way, the cheapest way, and the easiest way to do that, okay, to build a cluster on Azure. The second one is it's the way that you can literally, either if you are using Windows or Linux, okay, to be able to share information across two or more, in this case, hosts, or in this case, VMs, right? So, but basically, it's built or is being created for that purpose, the clustering part of either Windows or Linux, and be able to choose between premium SSD, standard SSD in all sizes, usually.
Or you can choose Ultra Disk as well.
Or you can choose Ultra Disk as well, correct? It's good because if you build a cluster, if you are familiar with a cluster, we have sizes, right, of disks that usually they are small. For example, the cluster disk, right? It's highly recommend that you're giving 2 gigs at least for the cluster disk. In this case, the minimum on the premium, right, is 4 gigs, which is not bad. So we don't pay.
That's pretty good.
We don't pay for the large disk only to have, in this case, the cluster there for Windows. In this case, whatever it is, up to 28 disks on SSD, or up to on premium, sorry, or up to 32 terabytes in the standard SSD. So, which is
absolutely
really cool. Although,
yeah, that's amazing. That's gonna really help a lot of applications that are running in clustered scenarios, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and I remember this a long time ago. That, for example, this is the curious part, I have to say. I was doing a deployment of SAP on Azure, and at that time, everyone was saying, including in this case SAP, yeah, use the Linux version for all of the clustering, especially I forgot the especially the central cluster or the shared cluster, whatever it is, that they have, that does all the magic inside of SAP. And at that time was cost prohibitive, and it was adding another layer. So to be able to have the cluster of Linux, okay, be able to run, I had to build the cluster of NFS to be able to have that functionality. So at that time, we switched to all Windows, okay, and that was approved, and it was in this case approved and sealed by SAP that there will not be a reduction of functionality or even performance and security on the SAP to just build with Windows, because at that time we were able to use the shared disk, and now this is available for Linux as well, which is awesome, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you covered that off really well, and I really like that you can scale it up to 32 terabytes. Because I think I'm thinking of one application with a customer I was working with, and they had CAD drawings inside an application that they were using, and it was cluster based, but it was really difficult to have kind of that shared centralized file. So we had to accomplish it in some different ways. And we've all thought of lots of creative ways to solve that for working around it. And now it's going to really be a lot more like the on-prem experience that we were able to do using NFS and shared scenarios, right? Absolutely. So it's going to be really awesome.
Absolutely. Moving to the next one is one of the coolest, right? Announcing the Azure Firewall Premium general availability, right? That is pretty cool to have that. So with this premium, because we used to have the standard, right? And now they became the premium. With this premium, it provides truly the next generation firewall capabilities that we didn't add with the standards. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we get a lot of now the TLS inspection, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. What else?
Oh, let's see here. Intrusion detection and prevention, the IDPS.
Yes.
And we also get now something that is really relevant for me with a client I'm working with on Defender technologies, the web categories.
Yes. That was one of the things. I have to say that with all of this, the web categories that you add on 365, right? By default with the Defender, that was missing for all of this. So now I can have web categories. So if you don't know what is the web categories, it's, for example, you can say that now you can filtering everything that is gambling, for example.
You betcha. For the entire tenant, both Azure and all Defender protected assets in 365.
As well. So all of these web categories is something that the next gen firewalls you have, and in this case Azure Firewall didn't have it, right? And I'm sure that with this you will have the part of that you already have on the WAF, because on the WAF you have that. But be able to have WAF, it's only for HTTPS, right? And only for web servers. But a really next-gen firewall that you can have it, right, as your boundary for your Azure, or in this case for network, you didn't have that possibility.
Exactly.
And now you have it. But another one is the URL filtering, because now you can both have plain text and encryption traffic being used in conjunction with the web categories. So pretty cool that we have now this available. And this, yes, you can use this in production if you are thinking, oh, now that those two guys will say, but this is in preview. No, this is GA. So they are available now if you want to use it. So use and abuse of this, because pretty cool. I didn't see the prices of this, but I'm sure that you will find it on Azure calculator.
Yeah, because when it goes GA, they do update the price calculator.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's probably quite affordable. First of all, because you're able.
Hello?
Different NVA in with it as well. So you can do some really cool configuration when it comes to the URL filtering, the web categories, and all those next-gen firewall features that you really expect to see with Azure Firewall.
Yeah, I have to say that in the middle of your awesome explanation, we had downtime on our internet connection.
We do seem to be having a few technical challenges with the blips of our anonymous communication style here tonight.
Yes.
But
But the thing is, to follow up with this is we press the record button and we don't stop. Only if there is a massive problem, right?
That's
And
true.
that's our trademark. It's
Yeah,
press
it
the button
is.
once
Yeah,
and
we're
never
human.
stop it. No interruptions. We don't care about that. Even if the head shrinks or not, we keep going.
Why would you invite that back?
I don't. I just mentioning because we miss our friend that is the Murphy.
That's true. That's true.
We
Yes,
really
Mr.
miss him.
Murphy does make the odd appearance around here.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. So,
So let's keep it rolling, my friend. So we have kind of a cool announcement,
oh my
something
God,
close to both
yes,
our hearts a little bit, right?
yes,
So Azure VMware Solution now GA in Canada East.
East,
Not only do we love VMware, but we love Canada and we love Canada East
yes,
because multi-region is way better.
it
So now
is.
we have both regions, Canada Central and Canada East, both regions in Canada have now VMware solution support. So this is really, really big because, we may take it for granted, but, for everybody watching and listening, first of all, thank you. But also, it's really important to have redundancy within each country. Because if a business has a requirement to keep their data within the United States, they have different regions to choose from. In Canada, we're not quite as lucky. We only have 2 regions here right now. And that means with the 2 regions, we now have the ability to create some geographical redundancy, right? So I think a lot more businesses are going to be open to some lift and shift migrations into AVS from their on-prem VMware. And it's going to really open some doors and help accelerate cloud migration. I'm very excited to see this one in here this
Yeah,
week.
me too, me too. And it's really good the releasing of this because now, like you said, we can rely from one region to another, and for all of the customers that they are using the AVS, that is the Azure VMware Solution, now they can basically replicate from one region to the other and have like that availability and disaster recovery that they require, and without the issues of data sovereignty and not leaving the country. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, it's a
which
really, really awesome update.
it is, and makes even more, um, makes even better, right? The solution across the country,
Absolutely. Yeah,
what
and I
is what
was,
we want.
yeah, I had the privilege to work quite deeply over the winter this past year, as you know, with the VMware solution. And I was really impressed. And I do want to say this. So if anybody on that team is listening, thank you. Because I felt that Microsoft's product team, the product manager, and the developers working on the product were not only responsive, but they were really involved in solving challenges, working out all the little kind of quirks that we run into in day-to-day production. And they really made that solution happen. So I'm not only grateful, I'm also very thankful
Yeah,
that Microsoft does such a great job of putting, well, let's just say it, really awesome teams together. I think that, yeah, it's just worth saying thank you.
absolutely. Thank you in this case as well.
Sorry.
Moving on to the next one, public preview on Azure App Service Migration Assistant PowerShell-based experience. What a way of our love for PowerShell can be devoted by having the way that you can now use PowerShell scripts to discover assets and migrate your .NET web applications, okay, from IIS to Azure App Service.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I could not be happier. And in this morning, I was talking about that, right? And the day before, when I went to see it, this was in preview. So I was able to show, in this case, how you have an application that is .NET to app service. Because at this example, I was on the kind of a workshop that the customer had a IIS website that was the company website, and we were able to use this, right, as an experience, to copy that, to just move to an app service without modifying the local application. So pretty cool to have that migration assistant based on PowerShell, because now we can automate and we can do the marvelous things that PowerShell does, right?
Exactly what I would have said. Very beautiful job saying that, actually, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, because with PowerShell, when we take things to command line, we're able to schedule them, automate. We can extend that solution and wrap other things around with it and include it in other scripts and script packages so that we can deploy this, let's say, automated, but also dynamically. And because Microsoft does such a great job of publishing these through GitHub, it makes it very trusted, right? So we know the source, we can review it, we can get approvals within the business, and then we can bring that GitHub repository in-house and take advantage of those PowerShell automations. It's really good. Yep, and you're absolutely right, because when you do the assessment, it keeps it's like a no change, right?
Yeah,
So you can take it in, you can then play and test in a dev environment with that app service without impacting your live production one.
absolutely. And it's really cool that you can do that. And um, in this case, the tool can run on a local server, and it's a UX based. So it's doing the assessment, migration, a single site at a time. So it's not like if you have multiple sites on your IIS, you are migrating everything. No, you can migrate a single site at each time. And I have to say that from what we were able to see it, you can migrate to either the same app service or by other app service. So imagine you have like 10 sites on that IIS on that server, right? And now you can have a different app service. You can have the same app service plan, but you can move this to another app service, and now segregating those and have that, because you can have the potential of it's like the same thing that you have on the IIS, that you create some application settings, right?
Mhm.
Application pools, that if you want to reset that application pool, doesn't affect the other application pool as well.
That's right. You have the memory isolation and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And on this, it's pretty cool to have that. Although I have to say that this is in preview. So if you want to use this in production, it's not recommended. Okay. Although you can try it with that, but I should not recommend it first. First, test it to see if everything comes okay. Test your entire website
The
to
whole
see
thing.
the whole thing if becomes okay. Although it's a migration assistant, but it's still in preview.
It
So
is.
remember
Yep.
that.
So yes, move it to like a dev test. Play with it. Don't just move it live and assume it's going to work, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And that's the part that I just want to make sure that you that are listening understands that part. The next update is the general availability built-in Azure policy support for network watcher traffic analysis. And I have to say that that it felt like last week we talked about this, right?
I'm pretty sure we talked about something quite similar, if not a preview, then something related to Network Watcher. So this is the Azure native solution, right? That gives us
Yeah.
the insights about those Azure virtual network flows that have
Yes.
originated or targeted our applications, right? So this gives
Yeah.
us those deep insights. So this is like app insights for networks, right?
Yep.
And the one
Absolutely.
thing I remember about these as well, about network flows, is that not only do you get the traffic analytics dashboard, but this one does depend on the NSG flow logs, the network security groups. And this is a really great way to have this integrated. I remember, it feels like it wasn't that long ago
No.
that we talked about NSGs just getting the flow logs. And it was probably like 6 months or something, but I'm
Yeah.
just remembering it funny as I do. But it's really good because this helps to give us a really full view of the traffic, not only how it comes through the NSG, but how it's interacting with the application, right? So if it's going through a load balancer, app gateway to the application, we can see how the traffic's flowing. And then that helps us understand, like if we're seeing dropped packets, maybe we need to add some scaling. Maybe we need to go up a SKU from standard to premium or whatever the flavor is. But there's a lot of really cool things. So some of the new policies that came with this, um, I want to say I like the one that is the deploy if not exists. This is one of my favorite types, right?
Yes.
And it's like the logic check, right? Like in case you didn't create this, let me take care of this for you. So it
Exactly.
just enables the traffic analysis on the NSG in an Azure region of a subscription or resource group. So
Yeah.
it will handle, so if we have the resource group and we have an NSG for all of the resources within that group, when we enable the Network Watcher traffic analytics through Azure Policy, now the policy can also turn on network flow for the NSG.
Yes. And network flow, it's a very recent feature because it's the beginning of the year that they launched this. So now be able to use that functionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of through Azure policy to support those to that and to add one more thing to the governance part of it, it's massive.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it feels like this happened quickly to me because I feel like it normally is a little bit longer to kind of filter into Azure Policy.
yeah, true. I have to say that's why we were thinking about. But I remember um, talking about this not long time ago, like you mentioned. But yes, NSGs, flow logs. It's massive because it's the way that you can in this case control and see what's going on, and you can have and they are basically going to a storage account, and especially our good friend of Azure Sentinel, it's going to be one of those that loves those type of logs. So be able to create a built-in policy to support these network watcher traffic analysis analysts. It's massively to even increase even more. This will be very helpful if you still have some residual of those um, Starwind
Mm-hmm.
problems
Yep.
on your network, because now with all of that awesome workbook that they created associated with this, you can live even go down on that Starwind vulnerability that we had last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Well, it's continued to be quite a big issue, right? Let's talk about that for just a second, because I think it really would help be helpful for our viewers and our listeners to know when you're using Azure Sentinel, Microsoft security products, let's say. When Microsoft security teams release a fix, they are releasing a fix for everybody, and they do it for free. They don't charge you extra money. You don't need an extra license to add it or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's part of the solution, part of the Microsoft Security Response Center team, I think is what it's called, I think. And they release those solutions usually through tech community.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of the Azure Sentinel, the workbooks, the analytics rules, the playbooks, the logic apps, all those things in Sentinel, they release those packages. And of course, it's in preview in Sentinel, but they have solutions for Sentinel, which can be published through GitHub and put all of those things into Sentinel for you inside your tenant, or at least your Sentinel instance is what I should say. And in the case of that compromise for that other product, Microsoft did release a very comprehensive package, and they've updated it. So if you put in the original package, but you haven't gone back since, it has been updated. There are additions to it. So go and search on tech community, and you will find really good things there. So I just wanted to kind of speak to that a little bit, because I think not everybody realizes that Microsoft security teams do release very helpful tools to bring in the workbooks and find those problems in our environments to help us get rid of those threats.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very good point to bring to the show, and to everyone that is listening and seeing us. Absolutely. Moving to the next one, general availability of public IP information and interzone traffic among many new insights in traffic analytics. So it's related to, in this case, to the previous one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with traffic analytics, it's like you mentioned, is the Azure native solution that allows you to have insights. It feels like the app insight that we have, right? But in this case, for traffic, that allow us to do that. That is based on the NSG. So it's I recommend that you're looking at the policy, implementing the policy, right? To make sure that you have those traffic analysis or those NSG flow logs enabled. So now you can look at your traffic analysis, like the IP information, what is the malicious IP, the VMS tagging, that is really important. For example, for Kubernetes, it's what being used on that, and the interavailability zone traffic. So pretty cool to have all of this that is being recently added to the traffic analysis dashboard. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's nothing I can add to that. You covered it all.
Yeah, because this one I was trying to demonstrate this morning, and it's pretty cool to see it, all of that on now on traffic analysis, because sometimes we were like, oh, how is my traffic? What is being trafficking? Do I get any type of lateral movement or something like that between subnets inside of the same VNet? Because what we were trying to do is to create some kind of way that we have the zero trust model, right? Associated with that, with to leveraging if the architecture and the deployment was sufficient, right, for the zero trust model, or if we have any type of lateral movement. And it's pretty cool because with this traffic analysis, right, and because it's an insight that you have, you can create some alerts. You can generate alerts. So if you see any malicious IP information, you can generate an alert. And by generating alert, now becomes the best part, you can create a playbook to totally isolate that. So you can almost going on the zero type of how I can call this, like a zero, not a 0 seconds, but a zero type of
Well,
compromise.
pretty darn close,
Yes.
right? So yeah, you can isolate it to a single subnet within a VNet. So when you see that lateral movement, you have an alert that triggers the playbook or a function or whatever you would like. Let's say Azure PowerShell script, right?
Yeah.
So just saying. So in our script, we're going to put some programmatic response. And let's say we take that NSG for that subnet and we just lock it down.
Completely.
No more traffic in or out. We send alerts to everybody on the networking team and security team. And we put up the little red flag and say, yep, so you got a problem in here. We've detected it. If it's a false alert, really sorry about that. But better safe than sorry when we're talking about zero trust model, right?
Exactly.
So in this case, we're able to, like you said, lock it down to that single subnet and limited compromise. I think
you can
zero
even go.
compromise
You
is
can even
pretty
go
tough,
further because you can, if you have that, you can apply, for example, a lockdown NSG, a setting of the subnet, but on the VM level, because now you are not compromising the remaining of that subnet, but you can apply. It's not ideally.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and the one thing I was just thinking of is, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago, actually, I want to say, is when we're running our triggers from our automation, what we should do is enable the packet capture dynamically because there's a problem. So now we can capture all of the packets that are in question and anything coming out of like the VM even, right? So we tag them, we capture them, and now they're saved. So we can identify the offending packets. Like we could get quite granular on this. Actually, I'm really liking this. The more we talk about
to get crazy ideas like running the antivirus automatically, just apply different route or route, in this case tables, to just isolate that and go only to the firewall, to a specific firewall, whatever it is. The world is the limit, or there is no limit in this case.
Well, I was going to say the world is your oyster, but then I was thinking, well, it's not. Saltwater servers usually don't get along, right?
They don't.
Yeah, the automation potential is really big.
It is,
and that's actually quite a really good update.
Yeah, it is. It is a very good update. But continuing on this part, that's why we're saying that most of the team for this week is monitoring. In this case, and that's what we're talking about. Let's move to the next one. That is the general availability of the Azure Monitor Agent and Data Collection Rule now support direct proxy and log analytics gateway, which is pretty damn cool. And the reason that I'm saying this is because these Azure Monitoring Agent and Data Collection Rules that we already mentioned on this show, right? That the data collection rules is a way that you can have on the server, just to recap a little bit, the way that you can have on the server that you can saying on the server side, not on the destination side, so on the source, what you are sending, right? So you are kind of a restriction and the source, not restriction, but you are basically having a filter on the source instead of the destination, right? Associated with the new Azure Management Agent, that now you can configure, in this case, some extensions parameters, right? And you can configure some proxy. So, because sometimes to have these, you need to have all of these Azure Monitor agents to be able to connect inside to the public service, in this case, that is the log analytics, right? And sometimes you don't want to expose that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Some networks have security requirements that require them to be isolated, no external access. That can only be internal. So in this case, now we can use a proxy. And I think the other use case that I think of is when we have to have even if it's not isolated, if we have a requirement to have our log analytics isolated, so that there has to be a specific ingress for that, so that we have different controls over it.
Yep.
I've seen both sides of that one, so I think that's a significant improvement. It's really great that it's coming out now, and of course, the next one on that little bit of a list here is that we now have support for both anonymous and basic authentication proxies. And that's a bit of what I was speaking to, is if we have a kind of a far end proxy requirement that maybe requires just a basic authentication with a username and password. When we think of basic or anonymous, where it's just anonymous, there is no username or password. And then that's basic versus modern authentication, right? Yeah. So I've definitely been talking to a lot of my customers about that lately. Is modern authentication good? Basic authentication has some challenges, and we should restrict that whenever possible.
Absolutely, but it's still better than anonymous authentication, right? I feel like
I would say so.
I
would say so.
I prefer basic to do anonymous.
And this is why SAS keys become critical to storage accounts, right? Because then we can give them read only or write only in this case, where we would just only be allowed to write, but we couldn't ever query the storage account.
Absolutely. And it's really important to see all of these improvements in this case for now, the log analytics and all of that. But the part that I like about this, okay, is and now you go. I know that what you're going to say is it's the new Azure Monitor Agent, the AMA, and it's no longer the Microsoft Operations Manager Agent.
I know,
which is a huge improvement. It took years, but whatever it is, they finally changed the name of the agent. So for me,
now,
it's like,
have you installed any this week?
No,
I haven't done any agent installs this week. I think I have one next week.
So we have a challenge for our listeners. Okay, that is, if you install this, do whatever, leave in a comment, shoot an email, send a tweet, whatever it is, but let us know if they really changed the service on the server side of it or not, to be able to see it, if they did improve that. Just little detail, nothing else.
I have to say, as an architect, there's nothing quite like trying to explain to a meeting full of system engineers. No, the other OMS agent service. That's the one.
Yes.
But I thought it was Azure Monitor.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so go make a coffee. We'll tell the story, but it's going to take 10 minutes.
Let's do a break, in this case, a useful break, just to tell the story about the mom, in this case, or of the mom agent. But yeah, it's funny. It's always like that, right? And that's the part that we love it.
It is, yeah. It's actually a really good icebreaker, I think, in some cases, because it's like, so you told us not to use OMS anymore. Yes, that's correct. It's not really a thing anymore.
No.
But you want us to install the OMS agent. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
At the end of the day,
we like to be retro.
Ooh, retro! I like it. Oh my gosh!
We deviate too fast.
You have one amazing final update for us, I think, yes, right?
I have to say that we have, because it's starting to be down, and we have to finish this, because otherwise it's going to be awesome. The final one, but the final, yes, the least but not the last but not the least, is the general availability of the new West US 3 region added to Azure HDInsight. So again, welcome Azure HDInsight to the new West US 3 that is in Arizona. Okay. Now they can have all the HDInsights with the open source frameworks like Hadoop, my Apache that I do like a lot,
Mhm.
and the Apache Kafka that I'm really
Yeah,
fan of. I was able to work with Apache Kafka, and what a stream in this case database that you can do a lot of type of stuff with that. Really cool about it, and it's now available on Arizona region, the West US 3. So again,
hmm
this is one of the newest regions in Azure in North America, and again, they are starting to deploy all of the big guns into those services to become
that's right.
available, right? So it's pretty
And I
cool.
find it, yeah, I find it fascinating because they really do roll out all these services pretty rapidly,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And like when you think about all the different updates they have to do and testing and validations,
And it's
and
not only that, it's like when you enable this, right? You don't enable this on a small scale.
well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about multiple data centers, not just even a single data
But
center.
I'm absolutely sure that to be able to enable these services, they have to deploy to a few thousands of those services to be able to have that possibility of making this service available on that region, because like you said, this region already have 3 zones, right? 3
Yeah,
with 3 zones, right? And to be able to do that, this is a PaaS solution. Okay, so the PaaS solution will be across the 3 zones. It will be across to all of that, because you cannot choose. This is not a VM that you can choose. Oh, I want to deploy this VM on the zone 1, on the zone 2, on the zone 3. This is a PaaS service that you choose the region, and that's
that's
it,
correct.
right? You don't know
Yeah,
if they are on the region 1, 2, or 3, or if they are across the 3 regions, or whatever it
that's right.
is.
It's a bit transparent. It just turns on and it becomes available to you as it provisions.
Completely.
But I think something that's further amazing for me. I just want to think about the physical site,
Yeah.
right? So Arizona, 100% renewable and sustainable zero carbon region,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
US West 3.
Yeah.
In Arizona, like what is essentially a desert um,
Yeah.
kind of a region, right? It's very hot all year round.
Yeah.
But I get there's lots of sun, but the cooling required
And
must be quite a challenge, right?
but that's interesting, because I read another day an article saying that the problem of the heat is not a problem, okay, too much, right? It's the humidity with the heat that is the problem. Because if you are on the dry zone with the heat, yes, that can be a problem if you're going to massively. But if you are kind of stable on the heat part of it, you can have way bigger temperatures, especially on CPU and all of those. But if
hmm
there is dry, it's okay. It's better to have, like, I'm giving an example that they use. It's like the performance of the CPU, for example, 65 degrees, in this case, Celsius, right? Or 70 degrees Celsius, it's directly related to the humidity, right? Because if you have that heat with the condense, it becomes condensation, because the air,
Yeah.
it's way colder, right? Becomes condensated, and you have to lower down completely, in this case, the temperature, because of the condensation, right? And because of all of that, it was very interesting to demystify, in this case, the part of, because we think, oh, the worst case scenario is to have servers, right, on the desert and all of that, because of the heat and that. Yes, true. We are. I'm not saying that, but the problem is, in this case, it's way better than have on the very cold places, right? But they are really humid, so it's
Yeah.
it's like both, right? Because
Yeah, you
otherwise,
do need the dry because as it's hot and if there's a high humidity
yeah,
and then it cools down, that water vapor condenses and becomes moisture. And electronic equipment, not such a big fan of the moisture, right? And that's why quite often, I think many of us with this podcast have probably spent lots of time in data centers over the years. And the
but you
one thing,
remember seeing those servers submerged on water? You saw that on Ignite.
yeah, yep.
Like for cooling purpose. So, and then it's like, you guys must be kidding me. I've been 20 something years on this career, and you always told me that the worst thing that happens on any electronic component is water. And now you are submerging the freaking server on water. So,
but it's not water though; it's really oil, right?
yeah, but it's liquid, right?
Yeah, yep. And I know the technology has really changed.
Absolutely.
And when you and I used to stand physically in a data center, back at times where that was allowed to happen, non-Azure days, the temperature and the humidity was so controlled. I remember I used to travel in my car with two fleece vests always in the back in case I had to spend a couple hours in the data center because it's just so chilly. But you also would keep like 2 or 3 bottles of water because as soon as you get out, you're so dry. And it's so interesting to me because now they can submerge, like you say, they submerge the systems in oil, in liquids.
Yeah.
And now they have liquid cooling. Water cooling has been around for a while for CPUs and GPUs.
Yeah,
but now they're
it's
changing the scale of how it works because they increase the efficiency, right?
Yeah, I have water cooling PCs as you know. My PC is water cooled, and now that I'm building a new one for example for my daughter, it's going to be water cooled as well. But it's different because the water doesn't touch the components, right?
Exactly.
It's on a closed circuit. That's totally different, and we have radiators and all of that. What we saw in this case very interesting. I'm trying to remember what was the vendor that we saw on Ignite.
Well, they had that big vat of
like
liquid,
an aquarium.
and they just dropped the servers in, and it still works.
And it still works.
It's crazy.
Yes, that's the part that I was like, whoa. Those are the things that I miss from Ignite.
I know the wow factor.
The wow
right?
factor, yeah.
In case nobody's picked up on it, Marcos and I freaking love those live events.
Yes.
We just love them.
Yes,
and there's no substitute. I love the handshakes, the hugs, the experiences with different vendors learning new things, like liquid submerged servers.
Yes.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Ignite in case that didn't come across.
Yeah, please. Make it possible. Make it possible. So we arrive at the end of our podcast on our show this week. So if you are new to the channel and if you already been at this time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just support us. Give you some love. We do appreciate that. Don't forget to smash the like button. I'm sure that Andrews love to see that like button being smashed.
Absolutely. Just bring the hammer down.
Bring the hammer down. Exactly. Bring the hammer
down.
No
warranty on mice, by the way. Yeah. That's we offer free money back guarantee on all lights, but we don't pay for the mice.
Exactly. Absolutely. I could not say better. We offer money back guarantee on ears if you want. All right. We are the only brand that offers what I would say like lifetime money back guarantee.
Oh, I like it. Our satisfaction is your guarantee, and that's guaranteed.
Okay, it's okay. Let's end this. Don't forget once again to subscribe. Okay, and
absolutely.
See you next week, and bye for now.